Hello and welcome to Food and Dine. This is the Top Chef podcast. My name is Quiche.
And my name is Gnocchi. And today we will be talking about Top Chef Season 21, Episode 14, Cruising to a Win. This is the finale of Season 21. So, to briefly recap this finale episode, there was a finale challenge.
There was the one and only.
The challenge was to make a best 4-course meal of your life. And the air quotes winning chef was Danny. I do mean those air quotes. We're going to talk about it.
Oh.
What chefs didn't win? Well, Savannah, heartbreaker. She fumbled the ball.
I know. Ugh.
And Dan didn't fumble the ball, and yet somehow he did not win. Quiche, what did you think of this episode?
Well, I feel like it is a wide range of emotions coming to the very end of this season. This being my first season that I've ever seen of Top Chef. And I've talked so much about how I love that we've gotten to know these characters at play. We get to hear about, Savannah's now fiance, helping her train for Top Chef, and we hear they get engaged and all these wonderful things about what's going on back home and who's supporting them. We have these incredible stories like Dan the man representing his home state in the Top Chef on his home state and his journey to the Top Chef finale. It's bittersweet knowing that it's ending because it sincerely doesn't feel like all that long ago that the season started. But it's been weeks. Make no mistake, it's been a long time. And there were weeks when I was very stressed and I was scared to click play on the episode, but I did it anyway. But all in all, the highs and lows, the roller coaster of Top Chef, it was so fun. It was such a nice send-off episode.
Well, Quiche, I have one last Top Chef baggage check, if I may.
Ah, yes. Final flight is boarding. Please, bring your bags to the counter.
And this one is a little bittersweet. In fact, it's quite bittersweet.
Oh.
So on Saturday, the chef of 2 Michelin star Saga and 1 Michelin star Crown Shy, which is where Danny is actually the current executive chef, and he's opening a new restaurant under that umbrella. I want to say sometime this year.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Okay.
Yes. James Kent, the head chef, only 45 years old. On Saturday, he passed away from a heart attack.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh my goodness.
It was shocking. I haven't really processed it.
Very unexpected.
Very. So young.
Yeah.
Very young. Saturday.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that was an unexpected bag for the baggage check this week.
Yeah. Well, our thoughts with his family and his friends and all of the people who are feeling this loss in the culinary world. Jeez.
Yes. He was a giant in the New York culinary scene, with that many Michelin stars. And yeah, so that's one of the bags. And then the other bag is they had a breakfast with the finalists on the finale. Typically, what they have been doing since season 13, California on forward, what happens is that the judges, Padma, Gail, and Tom, typically cook the chef testants dinner or some kind of really special meal before their final cook.
Oh, that's so cute.
The one exception between season 13 through 20, on the 20th season, the finalists got to have a meal made for them by one of the guest judges. Season 20 was Top Chef World All-Stars and it was located in London, but the finals were in Paris. So they got a meal cooked for them by one of the judges on Top Chef France. 3 Michelin-starred chef, Helene de Rose, cooked the finalists their final meal before the final dinner on season 20.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Imagine that.
So for many of us longtime Top Chef fans, it was a little bit of a letdown to see them all just having breakfast before their final cook.
You're like, that's nice. They're passing the granola around, but where's the dining? Where's the cooking?
Because in seasons past, the chef testants would come back to their hotel or back to their suite, and the judges would be there to surprise them with a special meal cooked by the judges. And remember, Tom is a Michelin-starred chef, and Gail and Padma are accomplished cooks, and this would have been an opportunity. Kristen Kish is an accomplished chef in her own right.
She's a Top Chef winner, so she's got it.
Yes, her restaurant Arlo Gray is in Austin, Texas, and if Michelin Star ever does Austin, Texas, I bet you, guaranteed, she would at least get 1 star out of the gate, at least. She's a really good chef. So it was a little bit of a letdown to see them just having breakfast.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't know that that was an option that they did. It makes it kind of funny that like Tom did technically cook this season, but it was for a challenge. It was for the reverse engineering challenge. So it wasn't like they just got to enjoy it. They got to sniff the leftovers and guess.
And only Gail and Kristen got to eat it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and so that's my Top Chef baggage check.
I like that one. That one's kind of funny. It makes me giggle a little bit.
Yeah. So there was a finale challenge.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta find some way to narrow it down out of the 3. They just flip a coin.
Yeah, flipping a coin, a 3-way coin, you're the winner. The finale challenge is pretty much the same from season to season, more or less. Just cook the best 4-course meal of your lives. Cook whatever you want. Sometimes there's some twists, like in Kentucky where, Eric Achapong only got to serve as appetizer, but...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you mentioned that. I remember that, yeah.
There's been other twists, but generally, cook the best meal of your life. That's the finale challenge usually. So I just want to briefly mention the judges, because I don't think I have been for any of the episodes.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned Brittany Snow. Do we really need to mention anyone else?
Right. In my defense, even with the extra 15 minutes, have you really been introduced to any of the guest judges?
No.
Is this not the first episode where we actually got an introduction?
Yeah, I do try to read the little, cards that has the name and what they do, but it always disappears so fast. I want to get a look at what they look like, and then I want to know what they are doing, but there's never time for both.
And guess what? The scholars at Reddit Academy pointed it out.
Did they?
All season long. I didn't say anything, but I also didn't talk about the judges. They barely showed them or told you who they were.
Right.
They didn't even tell you who Soo Ahn was when he came on the show, and he has a great backstory.
I know, he was just mystery guy. I remember when he was brought in and someone was like, oh, I thought he was just a nice man here to deliver your bags as you came back to Top Chef. And he's like, no, I was also in Last Chance Kitchen and now I'm also in the competition. And everyone's like, oh, what? Yeah, they could have put a little more respect on his name. They definitely could have.
15 extra minutes.
15 minutes about Sue background, please. Please and thank you. I would have taken that. I would like to know the lore.
Yeah. So, guest judges, Top Chef Canada head judge, David Zilber, smart dresser, love him. Chef Brisha Lopez, James Beard Award winner, Justin Picatrungzi.
That's a cool name.
Right? And then Michelin star chef Carrie Nahabedian.
Also a cool name.
Who Dan apparently worked for when he was 23. He worked for her.
Right, yeah. He's known a lot of the chefs that have made their way through the Top Chef judging table. It's really impressive.
Dan has known pretty much.
He knows everyone. He's around the block.
So, also typically in previous seasons, the finalists do get to pick sous chefs one way or another. There's been fun twists over the seasons. I won't go into all of them because there's a lot, but the other chef testants come back. Usually it's a selection of sous chefs who come back.
Oh, so this is something that happens usually?
Yeah.
Oh, because I was so excited by that. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They're back. And I'm excited. Literally our faves are back. Sue is back. Helena's back. Manny's back. Michelle's back. The squad is back.
And the 3 who didn't have to cook got to have vacation.
I thought that was so funny. I was like, they were just like, yeah, go ahead, go on. My question is though, did they just store Laura away somewhere on the cruise? Because she was just eliminated and she was already on the island when she got eliminated. So did they just oh yeah, just go to your room and stay there for a little bit longer and then you'll be revealed. And then after that, you can enjoy your vacation. I'm like, what? I'm like, where did they put her?
I don't know where they put them. Maybe they put them in steerage, so they hide them. I don't know.
They're in cargo. It's fine. We gave them food.
Bags of water.
Yeah. They're chefs. They can figure it out. They got all they need.
But yes, they typically bring back eliminated chef testants. Not every season it's the same. There's usually some kind of twist or some kind of twist and turn, but usually it's the eliminated chef testants. So anyway, as you mentioned, Laura, Kaylina, Manny, Michelle, and Sue, and Amanda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they drew knives. So Dan got first pick. Demanda
is back.
Team LARP.
Team LARP. I love it.
Danny got the second pick and he chose Manny.
Danny Manny. The names.
Question marks?
Yeah, no, I'd like to know. Because, we know Demanda. We know Demanda, that's been established through the edit, if not, obvious by their behavior around each other. And the final pairing of Michelle and Savannah, we also got that from the edit, too. We know that they bonded and they're close. So, yeah,
Danny and Manny. Huh. Well, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to lift that rock and look underneath it. So, Savannah put Michelle Michelle on pasta because Michelle had demonstrated that she can cook pasta. She demonstrated that in the season premiere. Dan thought it was a ballsy move, as Kristen has worked at one of the best pasta restaurants in the country. Cue some ominous music. Dun, dun, dun. Don't worry, we'll talk about it later. You might ask, why does the choice of sous chef matter so much in terms of Top Chef or in terms of cooking in general? I thought this might be a question for you because just like Restaurant Wars, why this challenge? You know, if something can be blamed on a sous chef, and some things this episode could definitely be blamed on a sous chef, but ultimately as a chef, you pick your brigade.
It's true.
So even if a sous chef makes an error, it's still your responsibility as the executive chef. So I just wanted to preemptively answer that question for you.
Thank you.
In case you're wondering, like, mistakes were made and Savannah and Danny paid for those? ? And it's because who you pick matters in Top Chef and in real life.
I could definitely see that in the sense, I think I was looking at it in a little bit of a different angle, but like who you do work well with, because that's another big thing as well. Like if there are vibes, if you are two halves of the same brain, like you know what the other person's going to be doing, you know you can trust the other person's opinion. Those are definitely big things in the kitchen as well, especially when you're trying to create new dishes. Like the way that Savannah relied on Michelle to say like, oh, we need to cook this, and she was like, no you don't, and she was like, oh okay, and then that didn't actually end up being an issue at the judges table. There were other things to discuss, but she was not steered wrong in that sense. So I do see how there are a lot of different ways, I guess, that your brigade, as you say, matter in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Just a little tiny Top Chef baggage check. So season 5, episode 14 in the finale, Carla Hall had Casey Thompson, who was a finalist in Top Chef season 3, as her sous chef. And unlike Savannah, Casey Thompson kind of steered Carla Hall wrong.
Oh no.
Suggesting that Carla sous vide something and Carla had no experience with sous vide. And wouldn't you know it, Carla Hall did not win her season of Top Chef.
Oh, jeez.
Many people blamed Casey Thompson, whether fairly or unfairly, they blamed her for that. So a lot of people were a little bit worried about Savannah being so open to Michelle's input because they were getting flashbacks to season 5 in that finale.
Interesting. I didn't even realize that. Wow.
It can have an impact. That same season, so season 5 finale is legendary in a bad way because the leading contender, Stefan Richter, he lost. He was paired with Marcel Vigneron from season 2 of Top Chef. And Marcel Vigneron, I should say, over the intervening years, he's been on a redemption arc. People love him now, but people did not love him in his season. And now in hindsight, we all realize that he was actually legitimately bullied in his season.
Oh.
But the edit he got, much like Laura getting a potentially unfair edit, he potentially got an unfair edit. You know, maybe just a pugnacious kid with a lot of ideas and edited to look like maybe he was annoying to people.
Oh, okay.
But he was legitimately bullied. Like he was held down and they tried to shave his head, and the chef testimony who held him down.
What?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That behavior is unacceptable. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the chef testimony who held him down justifiably got kicked off the show.
Yeah, good.
But many people thought the other people who were party to that should have got kicked off too, and they did not. And one of them did go on to win. Season 2, Marcel Vigneron season. So anyway, not to get too bogged down in this baggage.
You're like, anyway.
Stefan Richter, he got Marcel Vigneron, and Marcel Vigneron had a lot of ideas and maybe wasn't the best sous chef, maybe. And then Jose Rosenberg, this is the gentleman who cheated on his girlfriend on the show. This is the gentleman who is never better than mid-performing throughout the season. He lucked out, and his sous chef was Richard Blais from season 3. Richard Blais almost won season 3. He came back for All Stars and he won season 8. Many consider him in the top 5 of Top Chef contestants to ever go through Top Chef. And so Carla being saddled with Casey and her ideas, Stefan being saddled with Marcel and his ideas, and Hosea lucking out with Richard. Hosea ended up winning his season. Sous chefs matter.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes the dice falls where it may.
Yeah. Season 7, that finale is also notorious for pretty much the same reasons. Ed Cotton, a leading contender. Angela Sosa, a leading contender. Ed Cotton got saddled with Ilan Hall from season 2. Ilan Hall was party to what happened to Marcel, but didn't kicked off. And Ilan went on to win season 2.
Oh, okay.
And Ilan won season 2 by cooking the menu at the restaurant where he worked. So Ed got settled with Ilan Hall, who probably didn't bring a whole lot to the table. Angela Souza, if you recall, got sick in the finals. So even though he had an amazing sous chef, Hung Nguyen, amazing. He won Top Chef Season 3. He's probably in the top 5 of Top Chef contestants. But Angela Souza was sick for the finals. So the one who ended up winning, never better than a mid-performer, Kevin Zaraga, he got paired with Michael Voltaggio from Season 6, the winner of Season 6. Michael Voltaggio, if he's not considered the best chef testant to ever go through Top Chef, he is definitely in the top 5, top 3, top 2.
Wow.
Amazing chef. Like, he slaughtered the competition in his season.
Jeez.
And his season was the first season that was packed with Michelin-starred chefs. His season was the first one that was packed with nominees for James Beard Awards. Michael Voltaggio crushed it, and that's who Kevin got. And indeed, Kevin Zaraga won Season 7. Sous chefs matter.
Wow.
We'll talk about Kevin later. That was a sidebar. Apologies. So the chef testants had 2 hours to shop, and then they had 5 hours that night and 2.5 hours the next day to prep and cook. Grocery shopping with Manny and Danny.
That was so funny. That was another moment of like the edit just being so hilarious. He's like, Manuel, where are you?
Quote, biggest dude in the grocery store, and I couldn't find him.
I love that.
Dan at the grocery store.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was hard to watch. I didn't like that.
What on earth, lady, person, employee, what on earth?
I was trying to figure it out, and like maybe it boils down to like a language communication breakdown, because like cook and clean are kind of similar. Maybe they have a certain way they run things at that market where like that means like clean it means like the whole package. I don't know. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, you know? The fact that it was the last sardines also, like how is it the last sardines? Like, be honest, did the production team take all the other ones? Let's be honest here. Did you need more drama?
I can't imagine. No. Production failed the chef testants in many ways this season, but no. This is a crime I'm not going to pin on the production team for once this season. No. So yeah, Dan unfortunately had to pivot to snapper. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. But it worked out for him.
I mean, he didn't win, but yes, okay.
Yeah.
So remember how we put the question mark next to why did Danny pick Manny?
Yes.
I have some thoughts.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Me and the scholars at Reddit Academy, we have thoughts.
The scholars at Reddit make a reappearance.
They do, because why?
Right.
And I'm sure everyone on the show, in real life, why? You are picking the chef testant who everyone demonstrably saw made so many cooking errors over the season. I know he's part of Team M&M.
That's okay. I can be objective.
And we know that he can cook in real life, but in the terms of a culinary cooking competition, this was not his lane. Why did Danny pick Manny? So, the scholars at Reddit Academy, how do I phrase this?
Hypothesized?
Well, let me just say this. Over this season, and I've been ignoring this because I didn't see it, they have been calling Danny arrogant, unlikable, etc., etc. Very negative things. And I wasn't seeing it. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like,
oh,
he's a chef. It's fine. And then they said, someone in the Reddit pointed out, Danny picked Manny because he was the easiest of the chef testants to bully and boss around. And the moment I saw that in the Reddit, coupled with how he actually treated Manny in the kitchen, ding, ding, ding.
Oh.
The light bulb went off in my brain. I said, oh, yes, because Dan took Amanda,
naturally.
But even if he hadn't, the hypothesis is that Danny took Manny because he would be the easiest to bully, because Danny was smart enough to look at what was left to him and realize that bullying 3 women, Laura, Kaylina, or Michelle, on camera would not be a good look for him. So that left him with either Soo or Manny. Now, the logical choice in this case would be a Michelin-starred chef, would be Soo.
Right.
However, Soo is very famous, even though they didn't announce this on the show, but he is famous in the culinary world for walking away from a Michelin-starred restaurant because it was an abusive, toxic environment.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
Danny took a look at what he had left, and he knew he couldn't bully those women on camera because that would be a bad look. And he knew bullying Soo, even if Soo put up with it, which would he have, bullying someone who walked away from a Michelin star because he was being bullied, not a good look.
Right.
So that left him with Manny.
Oh, man.
That is the Reddit Academy hypothesis, and it's pretty hard to disagree with based on how he treated Manny this episode.
Yeah. I was hesitant to say anything because, especially like the last few episodes, I've been getting like, it seems like there's like a very marked shift in Danny's mentality and the way he's presenting himself. Like, it started with, he didn't seem as like jovial and like kind of like bubbly as he was throughout the rest of the season. And then it turned into, it was like a couple episodes, he started saying, I am the top chef. Like, I'm gonna be the top chef. For me, and I don't know, maybe this is just me being like way too polite, but like, I would never assume something like that and say something like that, especially when like I would have developed a relationship with my competitors. That would be a really hard thing to claim. I mean, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's had so many good moments throughout the season. Like,
oh yes, you pointed them out too.
Yeah, when we were talking about the episode in the ballpark, he was more than a team player. He was an encourager, you know? He was really working it. Scholars at Reddit, why do you point things out?
No, because I was not seeing it all season long. They've been saying he's arrogant, he's unlikable. And I was just baffled by this, which is why I never brought it up.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
I was like, I don't see this. I think y'all are being haters on Danny. And then this episode, combined with how he treated Manny in the kitchen, would you want to be on Danny's brigade in his real life kitchen? I can't imagine you would want to be.
Not really, no, especially when I'm not trained in the culinary world.
This is how he's treating someone on camera.
Oh. I did not think about that.
He knows there's 50 cameras on him. How is he going to treat you when there's no cameras?
Ideally, there's like a little less pressure because it's not for the title of top chef, but I don't know.
He gives Manny a task list that would take hours and says, you need to work 10% faster and this should only take you 40 minutes.
Personally, I would have started crying if that was given to me.
Imagine how bad that edit would look if he had picked Laura, Kaylina, or Michelle, or even Sue, who's been abused before in the kitchen.
That would not be a good look, no.
Look, this is the Scholars at Reddit Academy. This is their hypothesis, but I gotta say it's pretty hard to argue with. Just based on what the editors put on camera, it's hard to argue with.
I gotta say though, there's at Manny's restaurant, Jaguar Bolero, they're having a Top Chef alumni meet and greet event, and Danny's present there. Danny, Savannah, and Dan are all going to be there. And so potentially not as much bad blood as we think. I don't know.
Professionally speaking, they've all been doing pop-ups with one another because it's a smart thing to do. That doesn't mean necessarily that behind the scenes they actually like one another.
That is a good, yeah. I'm like remaining like militantly optimistic. I'm like, please no, please.
They could genuinely be friends too. We don't know. They could also just be being very professional, as one needs to do.
That's a good quality, you know. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for them all to have
because it benefits them all to just work together.
That's true.
Hey, look, this is a Reddit Academy. These are the scholars at Reddit. This is a hypothesis. I find it hard to argue with.
Right. Yes.
Keep in mind, all season long, I was not seeing it. This episode, oh boy, Danny, I was neutral on you till this episode.
I liked him through the season. I thought he was fun. I thought he was chill. I thought he was a little quirky. I was like, yeah, this is good chef, good person. Seems cool.
Yeah. Quiche, I wanted to ask you, if you were presented with the opportunity to cook the meal of your lifetime, what would Quiche do?
Ooh, well, I'm gonna just mentally separate what I would do from the Top Chef universe right now, because if I'm going to confidently and happily stand behind these dishes, I'm not being judged for them by all these people. So I worked out a theme, because we know no theme equals death. Learned that from Restaurant Wars. So what my theme is, it doesn't have as, I would say, a touching kind of motif as the Top Chefs have gone with. I wasn't in the competition, so I don't have that personal growth that they do. So my idea is the 4 courses are inspired by the southernmost states of the United States. And it's all a warm, summery, but refreshing course. We'll start out with the appetizer. Appetizer, I chose to do a squash blossom quesadilla with a roasted garlic and eggplant dip, also called mutabal. It's like a Mediterranean dish. It's like if you were to think about like hummus, it's kind of like adjacent to hummus. It's like some of those types of dips and sauces and stuff. So that's the appetizer. Squash blossoms have a slightly like a zucchini kind of taste to them, like a flavor there. So just a nice like light but warm, fun quesadilla to start it out with a good dip. The second course is a salad-based thing. So the appetizer, for reference, that one's gonna be kind of like, I want to say, well, you got the quesadilla, so you have the Mexican influence and and everything. So we're leaning into the southern states in that aspect. The salad, which is the second course, is a Southwest specifically inspired dish. Also, again, because, a lot of the culinary practices that come out of the American Southwest are heavily influenced by Mexican tradition and culinary practices that have already been there before the establishment of the United States as we know them now. For this, we're going with a Mexican street corn salad. So it is going to have grilled corn, grilled bell peppers, and grilled jalapenos with cotija cheese and a lime zest and chili peppers in adobo sauce sour cream dressing. Now, moving on to the main, this one, can you guess which is the southernmost United States state?
Is it not Texas?
It's not.
Is it Florida?
It's not. It's Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. I always forget.
I know. Well, I mean, it is very far away, to be fair, but they have such a rich culinary history there that who am I to not lean into that? You have to. So for the main dish, and yes, putting the main spotlight on Hawaii and their dishes, we're going with a kind of like a street food approach. So they're big into like the shrimp done as street food. So it's going to be a scoop of white rice with lilikoi or yellow passion fruit and edible lilac reduction drizzled on top, paired with a garlic butter shrimp on top of a lightly salted sweet potato crisp. So that's the main.
Edible lilac reduction. Go on.
Yeah, right? It's funny because I noticed like flowers popped up in two of these dishes because I really do love the idea of cooking with flowers and eating flowers. I've had salads with nasturtium on it. So good. Excellent. And so, obviously, since that was a little interest of mine, it found its way in there. Moving on to the dessert, we're moving over to Georgia and like the South Carolina area. Georgia, famous for their peaches. So this dish is simple, but hopefully good. It is fried peaches with a 5-spice cream.
5-spice cream.
Yeah, to add a little bit of warmth to that.
Inventive.
Thank you.
Almost like you're doing Danny level inventive sauce work.
Oh, stop it. Oh my goodness. Stop. Thank you.
Just throwing that out there. I would try this.
Thank you so much. I honestly, this is, I've had my ups and downs through the season of these challenges, and like some of them are hits, some of them are misses. We're not going to mention the pasta anchovy incident. Not going to talk about that. But I feel like I kind of like started it out strong and I'm ending it strong too with the charcuterie board pasta, and then now this 4-course of, honestly, it does kind of feel like me. Really like just fun, warm, summery dishes. Like that's something I lean into. That's something I love. So happy to start and end it on some good notes. I know I had some good notes in there as well. I'm not going to deny that. I know there were some good dishes, but...
Oh, I haven't forgotten the cold foam.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, well, I still don't know how that would go since it's hops. Like... how would that work?
I just had a salt foam cocktail. It was amazing.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds nice.
So instead of a margarita with the salt on the rim, salt foam.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of handy too, because with salt on the rim, sometimes I'm like, the extra work involved and getting the salt, getting the drink. But that sounds cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I'm stepping up to you only. You are my only judge. I don't want you to think about anyone else but you. You're my judge. Your opinion is the only one I care about. So please.
I like that you had a theme, and individually, all of these dishes sound great. The last two are the strongest. No shade on the first two. And if we were judging on Top Chef, it's so hard because the judging has been so inconsistent this season. I don't think you'd be on the bottom. I don't think you would win.
That's fine.
Just because of the split between the first 2 courses and the second 2.
Yeah, a little division.
I think maybe because the judges might say, I don't see the through line from this state to that state. You know how they can be.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say if they had done a mid, you would be mid.
I'm okay with that.
Your last 2 dishes, strong.
Thank you. I'll have to go back and revise those first 2. Just a little bit. Maybe some tweaks. Add or refine a little bit.
I would still eat them.
Thank you.
Like, for example, your second dish, the corn salad, add a little maybe fresh fish on there and turn it into a taco.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I like that. Yeah, like a street taco. Maybe it's like more of like a street food kind of like. I could add that in as a theme. That could be good. Yeah.
Just a thought.
I like that. Yeah. What kind of fish though? White fish?
Just don't boil it.
Yeah, don't boil it. But Torch, I gotta keep him employed, you know?
Yeah. All right, Torch. The most outstanding character to come out of Top Chef season 21.
Torch! We love Torch. If they had brought Torch out on the cruise ship, I might have screamed. I might have been like, oh my gosh, it's Torch! He's back!
So mid. I think mid.
Thank you. As long as I get to lift a glass of champagne with Kristen, I think I'm good.
Heck yeah! I think unfortunately you would be above Savannah.
What? No. But she did this. It was so nice. I loved her. I gotta say, Shining Light, I think throughout the season, I've seen a lot of really good examples of like, this is fine dining. This is something that's more contemporary or layman's terms of cooking, but elevated. I love that she did a hummingbird cake for her last dish. I thought that was the coolest thing. And it really it was a home run. Like Kristen was like, this reminds me of my childhood. And if a dish does that, if we learn nothing from Ratatouille, hit Disney movie, we learn that the critics are won over by nostalgia. It brings them back to their childhood. There's a good review coming.
So there were some finale dishes we probably should discuss.
We probably should.
Yes. There was a finale air quotes winner, and let's discuss his dishes, shall we?
Absolutely.
Yes, so Danny, spoiler alert, he won season 21 of Top Chef.
Yes.
His theme was, it will be a story of first significant food memories. Good story. His first, and we're going to talk about each chef contestant. Even though they served head to head, we're going to talk about each one individually. So Danny.
Yes.
His first dish was a scallop and habanero leche de tigre with breadfruit and nori tuile. Before we talk about it too much, Danny said he was considering making an aguachile. How did you feel about that, Quiche?
I giggled. I was like, is this why you picked Manny? Because you know he's the king of aguachiles. Is that what you did? I see what you're doing. I know what you did.
And then he, air quotes, pivoted to a leche de tigre. Just out of curiosity, even though I kind of know they're all the same thing, I Googled these. I asked the Dark Culinary Web.
Oh, yeah?
Dark Culinary Web, what's the difference between an aguachile, a leche de tigre, a ceviche, a crudo? Guess what, Quiche? Now, I'm sure these nations will rise up and rage at me. Mexico, Peru, all of Latin America.
Oh, no.
They are all essentially the same thing. Something raw, dressed with something citrus. Those citrus flavors can vary, but that's essentially what they all are. So anyway, Gail loved his beautiful dish that mimicked the scallop shell. Tom agreed that it could have used more salt. David, sharp dresser, he's like, this definitely needs salt.
That was rough.
Stick a pin in that. So his next dish, smoked mussels with plantains and cabbage, smoked mussel mayo and fine herb puree. Brescia loved his cabbage. Tom liked it, even though it had a lot going on and no one really knew how to eat it. And it was kind of a mess of a dish. Not really a dish. Was it a dish? Thoughts, Quiche?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We
don't have to talk about it too much. Good job, Manny, though. The 50 things you had to do for Danny in 40 minutes. Good job on the cabbage. So, his next dish, the now infamous spiny lobster with salsa matcha, squash.
Oh, yeah.
Persimmon and chowza sauce. What are your thoughts on this dish, Quiche? On the undercooked lobster?
Well, I was wondering, both Savannah and Danny took swings with this new type of lobster. I'm wondering if there maybe should have been a little bit of like research or maybe a little bit of like reserved choice of saying, I haven't cooked with this before. Yes, it is still lobster, but it is a different variety. So maybe there are things I don't know about it. I don't know if it cooks the same or not, but they both had the same issue with it, which is that like it remained undercooked. But speaking specifically for Danny's dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once again, they love the garnish. They love the two sauces. Good with the garnishes.
He's got good sauce game. He does.
Manny coming in with the undercooking once again. But keep in mind, even though Manny did it as the executive chef, it's Danny's responsibility that lobster was undercooked.
That's true. I will say the presentation of that dish, though, was very nice. I loved the little cutouts. I thought that was really cute.
Oh, yes. Stick a pin in that.
Oh, okay.
Judges love a good presentation, just like they love a good story.
They do.
And I just want a tiny little bag that's going to come up later. A little tiny Top Chef baggage check right here.
Okay. Little satchel, little man purse.
And there are many other examples, but this is the most recent one that I could recall off the top of my head because I did a lot of research for this episode. But season 18, episode 14, the final episode, Shota Nakajima, frontrunner to win the season. He lost for slightly undercooking his rice.
Slightly? Okay.
Stick a pin in it. Danny's next dish, his piragua con leche. his brilliant melon sorbet with avocado yogurt, candied seaweed, and condensed milk. Quiche, your thoughts on this dish?
I have been forever skeptical of avocado being used in dessert type instances. That includes cake, that includes ice cream, that includes yogurt. I think it's a daring choice to candy seaweed, especially knowing the consistency of seaweed, how it's a little slimy, a little gummy sometimes. I was curious about how he managed to execute that well, but generally I don't know how much I would like it. Okay, I will say the condensed milk stamp looked nice, but it also looked like once it got to the table, it was melted already. And so the presentation wasn't there for it.
I did kind of Manny juicing all the melon.
I mean, to be fair, Danny did say, like, whatever you need to get that. And so he did technically do what Danny said. I guess they just needed more melons. I don't know. But also, wouldn't you be brought in on that, being like, we need the melons for this and that? So instead of just giving him a short list of like, you need only these things, only worry about these things, and then he worries about other things, you wouldn't know where to allocate things in the kitchen.
Remember whose responsibility it is. It is the responsibility of the executive chef.
That's true.
And I'm on Manny's side on this one, just like you are. I'm on Manny's side, and you know I haven't always been.
Team M&M.
I am 100% on Manny's side on this one.
Yeah.
So anyway, candied seaweed, just so we all know, just so we're all clear, this is not a new thing. This is a Japanese, it's just a treat. It's a candy.
Oh.
It's just a regular thing.
Okay, yeah.
Just like he got, in my mind, unfair credit for his scallop mousse, which is a 100-years-old technique.
Okay, yeah.
In the Chaos Cuisine.
Right.
And then he rolled out seafood mousse 4 more times. Candied seaweed, nothing new. Just want to put that out there. I asked the Dark Culinary Web because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is, yes, it is not new.
Is this is another like Western view of cooking that it's like, it's been sidelined. Yeah, okay, I understand that, yeah.
Never had it, don't necessarily want it, but it is a thing.
Right, yeah. I mean, seaweed's supposed to be really healthy for you, but...
you can buy it on Amazon. It's a thing.
Oh, okay.
Quiche, I have an understanding that you have a potential food crime.
Yes, I do. This is in part just because I was so flabbergasted by the combination of seaweed with sweet, like sorbet and yogurt, that it struck me as such an odd thing to eat, to try. And that reminded me of a food crime that I committed solely because someone told me I wouldn't. My sister told me I wouldn't. And when someone tells you you wouldn't do it, obviously you do it then. And partially, this might just be me knowing this is the last episode. I want to get it off my chest. If I don't tell someone and get judged for it, it's going to loom over me for the rest of my life, unabsolved.
Step up to the stand. Food crime court is in session.
All right, so I can't remember if this was done at a point in the night, in the evening, where I was like loopy and just like sleep deprived, and I was being challenged and I had to defend my own honor and my resolve. But it came to the point where, you know, I was feeding my cat for the evening, and cats eat food, and we also eat food. And I was like, you know, wet cat food, that smells really nasty. I don't think I'd ever try that. I might endeavor to try a piece of the dry food because, you know, I don't know how that tastes. And like, the cat seems to like it, but doesn't like it as much as the wet food. And I'm seeing all these commercials about how you need to be feeding your cats real food. And I don't think it's real food, the type of kibble that we get. And my sister was like, you're not gonna do it. You wouldn't do it. And so I reached into our little container and I pulled out a piece of the off-red mauve color of kibble. I think it was a little X. And I just popped it in my mouth and I ate it.
What does it taste like?
Grainy. It's like cardboard grain. And I was like, I started feeling legitimately bad. I was like, we feed this to our, like, this is a living creature we're feeding this to. And I'm not like, you know, I'm not one of the crazy people who's like, they must only eat 4-ounce raw sirloin steak every night in order to maintain health. Like, I don't think that is necessary. I think that's a little excessive. But I kind of do feel bad now knowing that it tastes so bad. And you know what? It gets stuck in your teeth too. It gets stuck in your molars. It gets stuck around your teeth and it doesn't want to come out. And you're like, do I really want to use my toothbrush on this? Because then it'll have cat food on it. And you don't. That's the end of it. And so you have to get like a toothpick and you gotta like go through the whole process. And anyway, I feel like I really just need to be judged for this so I can put it behind me now.
Well, okay, hold on. Mad Max, in the original Mad Max, he ate dog food. He ate the wet stuff.
Wait, seriously? Ew. Oh, gross.
And before I submit judgment, a little exculpatory discovery information. So cardboard food for pets, they're basically nutrition pellets.
Oh, okay.
And what they do to them to make them appealing to cats, dogs, and other animals who are fed these things is they give them smells to make it smell like something they would actually like to eat.
Oh.
But essentially, they're just dried nutrition pellets.
So it's like crunching on some calcium pills for us.
Exactly, which would be incredibly gross.
Yeah, it would be nasty. I don't want to eat Tums for every meal.
Exactly. You basically ate a kitty cat Tums.
Oh.
So, maybe I would give you, gosh, I feel like there does need to be some sort of sentence here, but I don't want to be too harsh.
It's low-key insanity.
Because it's just a nutrition pellet.
That's true. I didn't know that when I tried that, though. So does that play into it? It's like,
ooh,
her insanity is still like, she's still crazy.
I'm going to give you 24 hours in solitary to think about your actions.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll be able to move past this by the time the 24 hours are up. I see hope. I see hope at the end of the tunnel.
And leave you with some nutrition pellets so you don't go hungry.
Oh, gosh. I get out of solitary and then I'll have to process that experience, too.
Oh, it'll be the experience that unfortunately keeps on giving.
It really would. But I'd be healthy for a cat, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd have all the nutrition they need.
Shiny hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, who can argue with that? Come on. I will say for Danny's, I didn't have a lot of comments, but I find that throughout this season, and this is something I feel like I'm realizing at the end, I'm just not in the culinary sphere enough to maybe understand or appreciate what it is that he's making. Because a lot of it is so highbrow, it seems, that like there are things, like I said earlier, there are things that are like, this is obviously fine dining, this is high cuisine. And then there are dishes that are more common, more known by people that are elevated to a fine dining level. I feel like sometimes I hear the names of the things that he's making and I just don't understand what it is that I'm supposed to be eating. Mentally eating, I guess, because I'm not there.
Thank you for bringing this up, Quiche, because besides my friends and I who all discussed this, and also the scholars at Reddit Academy, the general consensus is, does anyone remember what Danny made this season? I remember what Sue made. I remember what Amanda made. I remember what Dan made.
I mean, I even remember that pudding, that rice pudding that Laura made. And that was like episode 1.
The general consensus, and keep in mind, you may be unfairly dinging yourself because I've watched 20 seasons. The scholars at Reddit Academy, a lot of us are familiar with fine dining. We know fine dining food. We can't remember a single thing he made, and his dishes have left no impact on us. Savannah's dishes, iconic. Couple of things that Dan made, legendary.
Yeah, definitely.
And the thing is, you may say, I don't understand fine dining, but I've eaten at fine dining restaurants, and their job is to make you understand what you're eating.
Is it? Oh.
Yes.
I thought it was always supposed to be like low-key a little inaccessible to like the average person.
If they're talking down to you, are you as a consumer going to enjoy that experience?
No.
Or should they be bringing you along for the experience?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't going to. I'm glad that you did. Because that was a general common feeling. What has Danny made? Does anyone remember? The general consensus is no.
Yeah. I remember that really smooth thing that he made for Chaos Cuisine, but I don't actually remember what it was. I just remember that it was smooth and it was described as a duck.
Right. And you remember that dish because it stood out from all the chaotic dishes. And he won for a challenge that's supposed to be chaotic. And he also won with a dish that's hundreds of years old that he's made many times before. Everyone remembers that dish because he and another chef created it. And whether or not he gave the chef credit on the show, we don't know. Maybe the editors cut it.
Oh.
But that's why people remember that dish.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Because it's a potentially stolen dish. Who knows?
Ooh, Top Chef drama. Oh my gosh. No.
That's his most memorable dish of the season. That shouldn't be his most memorable dish, but it is because there's scandal behind it.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
So, who should have won and what were their dishes? Now, keep in mind, this is my opinion and the opinion of the scholars at Reddit Academy. You may be inclined to disagree. Dan the man. His theme was who he is at this moment in time as a chef. Good theme.
Yeah.
His first dish, deep breaths, a squishy, jammy tuna tartare.
Yeah.
Ruby red grapefruit, Caribbean red pepper puree, garlic chips, and black garlic lebna. Black garlic lebna sounds real good.
It does. That sounds really, really nice. Yeah.
So, what did you think of this dish?
I wasn't faced with the matching texture between the grapefruit and the tuna, but to me, I almost think it would be more palatable because I don't enjoy sometimes the texture of raw fish. So to have it masked and me not really be able to tell the difference between the grapefruit and the fish, honestly, I might have gone for it. I think I would have gone for it.
You are in excellent company. The head judge of Top Chef Canada, David Zilber, really appreciated it. Said it was loud. They loved the flavor. That really the only critique was a sous vide tuna. They liked the flavors. It was addictive. And I want to remind you, this is only one example. Well, I'll give you two. Season 16, episode 14, Eric Ajapong's gritty scallops. They didn't like the texture, but that's how it was supposed to be.
Right, yeah.
Or just last episode, Savannah's grainy sauce. They didn't like it, but that's how she wanted it to be. Just putting that out there. It was a choice, not an error.
Yeah, that is correct.
His next dish was a grilled snapper, because he didn't get his sardines. Grilled snapper with braised pumpkin and smoked snapper dashi. Thoughts?
I think that sounds like it would work. I feel like the snapper kind of maybe fits a little bit better with the braised pumpkin than sardine would, so I'm not opposed.
Everyone liked it.
Yeah.
Emeril, David, Tom.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot that Emeril Lavigne was literally there judging everything. Oh my gosh. He's there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention Emeril Lagasse was one of the judges. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I said Emeril Lavigne. What is this, Avril Lavigne? Oh my gosh, I am so sorry for my disrespect to both the singing legend and the chef legend. I just combined them into some weird Pokemon evolution form. I am so sorry. That was awful.
How many points would you get for catching that Pokemon?
You win the game. The whole program shuts down as soon as you catch it. It says, congratulations, you won. And then everything just shuts down. The cartridge that you're using explodes, and it's like a secret message kind of thing, you know? They leave you with that to wonder about the world. Yeah.
His next dish, oxtail ragu with dumplings, tomato concasse, and pickles of cabbage, carrots, and scallions.
I don't know much about this dish. I've never had anything with oxtail. That's not a type of food I have been able to try as of yet. Do you have experience with this? Is there any wisdom you can impart so that I can picture this dish?
Absolutely. So if you think of oxtail as being a really tough cut of meat, very unpopular. It's something that you have to stew for a really long time. But once you do, the meat just falls off the bone. It's very rich, tender, flavorful, executed well. It's like maybe the best short rib you've ever had. Really, really good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can get on board with that too then.
Yeah. And then coupled with the pickles. Pickles is, I want to say it's a Haitian style of pickling things, super spicy. So everyone seemed to like it. Tom thought it was a little sweet, but everyone seemed to like it. His dessert, yogurt mousse, coriander, olive oil, grilled pineapple, salted phyllo crisp.
I thought the salted phyllo crisp, that sounded really, really nice. I personally, not big on coriander. What's the other name for coriander? Is that the cilantro or parsley? I think it's cilantro.
I don't know. You know more than me on this one.
But that's a thing, because I remember in middle school, they make you do this thing where they're like, oh, there's some people who have this like gene where if you taste this, it'll taste like soap. I'm one of those people. So unfortunately,
no.
I don't think I would have liked that too much.
Got it. Yes. I believe it's parsley, right? That tastes like soap.
Yeah. But that's not to say it would have been bad. It was probably excellent. It's just not. It wouldn't have worked with me genetically, I guess.
You and me could just be in the corner eating those salted phyllo crisps.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could just hide over there. That'd be great.
Just give me a bag of those. Shove those in my face. So just a quick, very brief sidebar. I was listening to the Ringer's podcast, The Watch, and Gail Simmons was on to talk about the finale episode of Top Chef. And she said a couple of things that I strenuously disagreed with. One, she said that Soo had always been waiting in the wings. Now, Soo in his interview said, keep in mind, he was coming off his wedding and honeymoon, and he said literally he had no time to prepare. He had no recipes memorized. He had no prep.
Oh,
nothing.
Jeez.
So I'm listening to this interview going, Gail, have you not read Soo's interview saying, I just came off my honeymoon and I had no time to prep and I got a last minute call?
Yeah.
Are you not aware of the fact that everyone knows that the first guy, David, the trash guy, noped out, decided not to continue competing? And she tried to say in the interview, well, we considered the cook-off in the first episode Last Chance Kitchen.
No.
No, Gail. No. I love you, Gail. I love her. I'll eat anything you cook for me, but no, Gail. And I also believe Soo.
Yeah, because he had the chance to go there. He had the chance to go to Last Chance Kitchen. So why would you do Last Chance Kitchen and then lose that and then have the second chance to go to Last Chance Kitchen? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Who do you want to believe, Soo or Gail? I kind of believe Soo here.
I mean, we got to know Soo a bit better. Speaking as someone who's only known the two of them for like a season each, like I do not have any previous experience with Gail from the other seasons of her judging. So yeah, I like Soo.
Yeah. And she also said in the interview with The Watch, she also said that they had a lot more complaints about Dan's dishes. They just edited them out.
Why would you do that though?
In the course of her 40+ minute interview, she tried to justify Danny's win, but at no point did she ever say what those cooking errors were. She didn't say. She just said, well, Danny cooked a more audacious meal, and so therefore he deserved to win. And I kept listening, waiting for her to say, well, if they didn't keep the errors that Dan made in the edit, what were those errors, Gail?
Right.
And she never said, which leads me to believe there weren't any actually cooking errors, because trust you me, the editors would have left those in the episode.
Yeah, because it did seem like the technical errors in this round fell more to Danny and Savannah rather than to Dan. He seemed to execute decently enough.
The editors do play tricks, but if someone commits a cooking foul, I can't recall a time where they just decide not to show you. Maybe they did, and she's telling the truth, but if they did, then tell us what those cooking errors were, Gail. But she didn't.
Yeah, because then the win seems unjustified, which is what it ended up seeming as.
And in follow-up interviews, Tom, Colicchio, and Gail Simmons have been going around in their interviews and saying, no, the editors cut it out, but they haven't said in their interviews. They haven't said what those errors were. Would love to know.
There was plenty of time. I mean, they only had, I get that it's the last episode, but they have plenty of time in the episode to work through the different things going on. I'm surprised that they wouldn't sacrifice some of the prep time.
15 extra minutes.
If it's really like that pressed for time, like it's necessary to have all the buildup in the prep and the shopping and all these, like, was it necessary to have, I mean, it was funny, but was it necessary to have Danny looking for Manny in the supermarket for a solid 15 minutes over having the outcomes spoken?
Or did Dan not commit any major cooking errors besides his decision to sous vide his tuna?
Government secrets, you know? We may never know.
We may never know. Who lost and what were their dishes? This one hurts.
It's sad.
Savannah, her theme was, I want to tell a story of where I'm from. Good theme.
I like it.
She made a saltfish fritter, sweet potato puree, pickled mussels, habanero honey glaze. Yum.
Sounds so good. Oh my gosh.
Your thoughts on this course, Quiche?
Oh my gosh, it sounds incredible. I mean, as someone who already is like not big on fish, this honestly sounds like something I would sop up. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. I'd be licking my plate. Gail and Tom would send me out. They'd be like, you're being not Top Chef level professional. I'd be like, I don't care. There needs to be not a speck left on this plate. That sounds so good.
Look at the compliment. Great way to start a meal. Nicely balanced. She did a great job. Great crunch. Praise all around. Savannah's next dish is a pasta dish. Spiny lobster agnolotti, lobster broth, smoked Marcona almonds, and grapes. Quiche, your thoughts on this dish?
I actually don't like lobster. Controversial hot take. I know people love lobster and they're like, oh, it's luxurious, it's delicious. I love a lobster mac and cheese. I actually really dislike the taste of lobster. Good for her. It sounds really excellent. I will probably ask for seconds of that first dish.
Fair. So, the pasta. Michelle. And again, this is Savannah's responsibility as executive chef. Oh, this one hurt. Dry and brittle.
Yeah. Ooh. I do want to know, though, because we've discussed one of my food crimes, but I heard through the grapevine that there may perhaps be a food crime on your part that you wish to disclose.
Yes, so I do almost all of my cooking in the microwave. And there are a couple of reasons for this. One, laziness. Two, even though I have air conditioning, I really don't like turning on the stove or the oven in the summer.
Yeah, that's fair.
It gets hot. In the winter, I'll turn them on all day long.
Cooking 24/7.
Yeah. I like doing things slow in the oven. That thing's on for hours. Yeah, no. But in the summer, microwave. And the microwave that I have runs super hot. And one day I thought, this thing runs so hot. I bet I could cook pasta in here. I mean, I cook my ramen noodles in the microwave.
Oh my gosh.
I boil the water first, get it boiling, then I toss the ramen in, and they only take an extra, minute in the microwave, and it's done. Ding! Done.
What? Why? No.
My microwave runs so hot. It can get the water boiling. So it can get 4 cups of water boiling in 4 minutes.
Wow, that's really impressive, actually.
It's really hot. Like, you have to be careful with this thing. And I've forgotten sometimes when I lower the power settings down to 1 and then forgotten that it automatically reverts back to 12 and burn things in the microwave.
Oh my gosh.
It's so powerful.
Did you get like a government grade nuclear experiment and they were marketing it as a microwave?
I think that's what I have. Yes, a nuclear grade microwave.
That's so funny.
So then I was like, I bet I could cook rice in the microwave. And wouldn't you know it, I have successfully cooked in my microwave. I would not suggest this unless your microwave goes up to nuclear levels of power. But I have successfully cooked rice, and rather than turning on my stove, because I actually don't have a rice cooker, I do rice on the stovetop, the old-fashioned way.
Okay, yeah.
But it takes a while.
It does.
So yeah, I have successfully boiled the water and then simmered, because this is when I've forgotten. So when I simmer it, I turn the power down to 1. Those are the times when I've forgotten after it's done and I go to cook something else and I forget that it's reset itself back to, power 5,000.
Burn everything inside the microwave level, yeah.
Get the water boiling, put the rice in, simmer that thing for 20 minutes, ding, microwave.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the consistency of the noodles, of the rice, does it come out chewy at all?
Well, no, I also cook with wild rice, so it never comes out.
Oh, okay.
It comes out that texture, which I don't actually find fully pleasant, but I eat because it's a little more healthy.
I was gonna say, I was like, I'm not the biggest on wild rice, but you go.
I hear, however, that you have a maybe distantly related cousin food crime to this food crime of mine.
Yeah, maybe. And I gotta say, you're not getting out of your judgment. I will be circling back to that. I will say this one is maybe a crime by complacency, or like, because I got it from you, because months and months and months ago, not that long, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about ramen. Feels like months ago. We were talking about ramen, and you mentioned how you put a slice of cheese on your ramen, and I started doing that.
Yes!
It slaps. It's really, really good.
Yes! When I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to poach an egg, slice of cheese.
It's incredible how it elevates the dish, I will say. Like, I'd been eating ramen in like such a plain and regular way, like just as like I need something to sustain me meal. But when you suggested that, I was like, oh, maybe I can play around a little bit. So I started putting in, because it's what I used pepper jack cheese, a slice of pepper jack cheese, which was really, really good. And then I also included the chili crisp oil and some corn as well. And oh my gosh, I was eating that. I ate that maybe 3 times in 1 week before I decided that I should probably chill a little bit so I didn't become disgusted by the dish, because I really do enjoy it. It tastes so good.
Did I not say you could turn instant ramen into a complete meal?
You were so right. I did not believe you, but I have been proven wrong, and I'm so happy about it. You should pat yourself on the back. It's a really good discovery. Thank you for sharing it too. And for anyone listening, I recommend. Definitely try it. Use your favorite type of cheese, use your favorite type of sauce, use your favorite veggie. It tastes really good. Now I'm going to judge you for your other food crimes. All right.
All right, I'm ready. I'm in food court.
So
give me my sentence.
The idea of cooking pasta and rice in the microwave is abhorrent. It's terrifying. I'm scared. It's egregious, dare I say. However, with rice specifically, I feel like since you have disclosed more information of the crime, and I know that it is wild rice, I think it's okay for that one. That one, I'm gonna say you have to wear an ankle bracelet for maybe a month. Just so that we know where you're at and we know what you're up to. So in case you try to go to the fields to collect your wild grains, we're aware. Like a tracking thing. Like, we know when you go to get your grain and we know when you're gonna microwave it, just so that we're aware. For cooking pasta in the microwave, so before the ankle bracelet, I think you need to spend, and you know what, this is gonna be an interesting one. I'd say you need to have, I'm gonna put you in juvie for 3 days. You're gonna go to juvie, actually, not real prison. Juvie.
So fair.
Because I feel like it's a good hack, but still juvie. So after you get out of the 3 days of juvie, you're going to wear your ankle bracelet for a month, and then you're free to go. You're free to wreak havoc in the ways you see fit.
Fair. And for you, time served.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because I do what you do all the time.
I love that. You're the judge at the table, and they're like, well, I don't want to put them away for arson because I do love setting things on fire. So I suppose I'll let this one slide.
Exactly. Food court adjourned.
Adjourned. That was a cathartic food court segment. I loved that. That was so fun.
So Savannah's next dish, she made a seared grouper with epis spice, mofongo plantains, and flying fish roe butter sauce. Quiche, what did you think of this dish?
It's another one of those things where I'm not so sure about the fish itself. Unfortunately, the finale of this, since they're on a boat and it's a lot of seafood focused stuff, that's like not in my lane. But I love a good plantain. I really do. I think that's great. And if it's like a good plantain and it's paired with the fish, I could see how that would kind of even things out. So yeah, I could see it. There were reviews of it though. Tom had some reviews.
Tom, mofong-NO.
The dad jokes are relentless. This man.
Tom, Colicchio. Ouch.
He's like, oh, it's so funny, but it's also like scathing. Like, why are you doing this?
So I asked the Dark Culinary Web because I actually didn't know what a mofongo is. What it is you take the plantains, you pick them when they're still green, you cut them. Typically they're fried, but they can be boiled or mashed or roasted. And then you mash them up with salt, garlic, broth, and olive oil. It sounds good to me.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it does. So why was it mofong-NO, Tom? Why?
Maybe she just shouldn't have called it mofongo.
That's like an interesting thing that's occurred over the past season where it's like someone will call a dish by a certain name and then the judges judge it more harshly because they're like, I don't see it as that. But if they had called it this, then it would be better. It's like...
Yeah, like Sue's dumplings in The Good Land. Yeah, when he called it, what did he call it? Gnocchi?
That's exactly it, yeah.
On the one hand, I want to say judges, come on. But on the other hand, I kind of get it. It's kind of like the same walking into a restaurant where you're expecting to get Arby's, but you get served Wendy's. And it's kind of like you...
I would be happy with that. I'm not going to lie.
Like, you're walking in expecting gnocchi and you get dumplings. Like, I kind of get it, but...
That's fair. Okay.
On the other hand...
Yeah. It seems like you're allowed to change things on the fly when you're cooking it. So why can't you change the name of it when you get up to the judges stand? Like, it feels like that should be built in.
Yeah, Savannah. Oh, physical pain. So, Savannah's dessert.
Woohoo!
Her hummingbird banana upside down cake, lime and pineapple granita, rum coconut sauce.
Oh my gosh, just put me on the beach. That sounds so good.
Yes, every aspect of this dish. Ding, ding, ding. Sign me up. Serve that to me. I will have that, please. Yes. And also rum on the side. Sounds fantastic.
I love that. I know, like complete dessert. I love that. That's excellent.
Yeah, so those were the dishes in the finale. And I do have some tidbits. So at breakfast, Tom giving Savannah a thumbs up for being a UNC fan.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh.
That was fun.
She was about to go on and he's like, nope, that's all you need to say. Don't need any more. That's it.
Dan working on a dish inspired by Dana's soba cha buckwheat tea from 2 previous episodes. And my thought was, well, I guess we need to add soba tea to the pile with croquettes and aguachiles this season.
I know, yeah, it's coming in there. It's sticking around.
What's with the repeats this season, kids? What's with the repeats? Quiche, did you have any tidbits for the elimination?
I do have some tidbits. One, I think it's great that Sue, Kaylina, and Laura just get to enjoy the cruise. They just get to go off and have a good time on the cruise, catch some rays. Like, that's wonderful. I'm so glad for them. I was very, very happy to see Michelle and Manny and Sue and Kaylina and Laura. I was happy to see them all back again, just because it's that nice hit of nostalgia. Like, it's these people that we're so familiar with, and seeing them in a more, I guess, like relaxed manner. I was happy for them. I was excited for them.
Absolutely.
Dan saying that it's awesome to see Savannah's confidence grow over the course of the competition was such a lovely moment of camaraderie. Even though he wasn't like saying it to her necessarily, he might have, but it's still just a wonderful thing that he was saying, like, this is one of my competitors, but I'm essentially, he's saying, like, I'm proud of her. I love seeing where she's come from and where she's at now. And I thought that was so sweet. Savannah saying that this menu is for me, queen behavior. Oh my gosh. Going from like starting not really knowing, not really being sure, to saying like, I'm cooking what I want to cook. I know this is what I want to cook. Beautiful progression. I love that. I thought that was so fun. I did pull a quote from Danny though, because the moment low-key just had me laughing. Because he just won Top Chef and they're like, how does it feel? And he says, it's dope, dude. It's dope. Through tears. It's dope. It's giving frat boy behavior, but in a funny way. It's not like, if this is the way that he's expressing his joy, like totally valid. But it's just so funny, the word choice. It's dope, dude. It's dope, while he's crying. Oh my goodness.
So on Watch What Happens Live, Danny was on, as the winner, the talk show that's on after Top Chef. And they don't typically talk about Top Chef, but sometimes they do. And he was on and he was asked, "Hey, Danny, were you surprised that he won?" And he said, "Honestly, no, I wasn't."
Oh, no.
And this is a quote from the scholars at Reddit Academy, because keep in mind, until this episode, I did not think this of Danny. Now I think this of Danny. Imagine being that cocky after serving undercooked lobster, a poorly conceived dish that no one knew how to eat, and an underseasoned dish.
Oh, they went for blood.
Another quote. "Maybe the reason this season was so difficult to edit was they had a hard time editing out what an actual jerk Danny is."
Oh.
Another quote from the Reddit. "Maybe the reason we learned so much about his wife is because the producers were desperate to turn him, someone who's actually not a nice person, into an air quotes nice person for TV."
I know I know what I'm about to say is purely speculation, but I keep thinking about like the Lara edit. It definitely would have been hard to sell a Danny edit and then he wins. So were they really just giving a very unfair edit to someone else who was just trying her best to win the competition as well? Like,
I am so glad that you brought that up on your own, because I was going to bring it up later. And also the scholars at Reddit brought this up, because many have been in Laura's corner and I haven't been. I've been unfairly calling her the former Lady of Darkness. But this episode recontextualized the whole season for me. Watching Danny bully Manny. Even though I've dinged Manny repeatedly this season, he's nice. He's lovely.
oh yeah, he's very sweet. Human teddy bear.
It oozes out of the screen. Nice guy. Watching Danny bully him, and then seeing the comments on Reddit all season long, which I had been discounting, about how arrogant Danny is, how really not nice he is. This episode recontextualized the whole season. And also, I had been trying to say former Lady of Darkness because I have been questioning the bizarre edit she got all season long.
Right, yeah.
This episode completely recontextualized her edit. If us scholars at Reddit Academy are correct in our conspiracy theorizing, she got that edit to distract from Danny. And the reason we got so much about Danny's wife was to distract from Danny. What did we really learn about Danny? Well, we learned a lot about his wife.
Yeah.
And we know that he was air quotes victimized by the season's air quote villain, Laura.
Yeah. Part of me is like, oh, well, are you just being hard on him because, the chefs that you wanted to win didn't win? But hearing his interview after where he said he wasn't surprised he won, and like getting that taste of arrogance and like seeing that pick up in the last few episodes, it's not looking great evidence-wise.
It's giving me the ick, the major ick.
Yeah.
I did not feel this about him at all season long.
No, he seemed really sweet.
All season long. This episode blew that door wide open. It was painful to watch him treat Manny that way.
Yeah, that really didn't rub me right. I was sad. I was upset about that.
So we'll come back to Danny later.
All right, that brings us to our very last snack time of the season. Woohoo! All right, welcome to the segment Snack Time with High Speed Dining.
Oh, our last little segment here. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm going to do without fresh episodes of Top Chef and hanging out with you guys every week.
There are 20 seasons to watch if you want.
Yeah, that's too much. It's daunting, that task. I mean, I don't have 6 months of my life to throw at the TV, but we'll start dabbling and figuring it out. But man, I know you guys have chatted a lot about it, but what an interesting episode. I think the true winner of the episode is the video editors for Bravo's Top Chef, because boy, did they throw a twist into this one. I wrote a comment on their post on their Instagram page, and I wrote, "Congratulations to the Bravo Top Chef video editors who created quite the controversial twist, LOL. Oh yeah, and kudos to Chef Danny Garcia for the big win. Dan and Savannah may not have taken the big check, but are clearly winners too." And Bravo, at least those guys liked my post, as I think Savannah did too, so.
Oh.
That was nice. And the other highlight for me as well was I wrote a nice comment on Dan's page. I wrote a few things, and he started following me on Instagram, so.
Aw.
Woohoo! Woohoo! I'm a Top Chef winner too, I guess, if you look at it that way. Crazy episode. Man, I know you guys have talked about it, but they so edit it in Dan's favor, and then with the twist. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh dear.
What can you say? All the comments were, you were robbed, and all the, everyone was at Dan's corner, it seemed, in social media wise. So, but fun episode. It was a great season. I really enjoyed it all, and it was just fun. fun to get a winner. And I don't know, what were your, I mean, you guys obviously thought Dan was robbed. Is that the thought?
What did you think, Quiche?
There are many thoughts. I was standing in Savannah's corner. I thought she did have some missteps on her dishes, though. And to me, it did appear that Dan did not have the same number of missteps that either Savannah or Danny had. So draw your conclusions as you will.
I mean, I thought Dan had it in his favor by being first every time because their palates were clean of the judges. And the first thing you get's going to be the hottest. It's going to be probably the poppiest flavor-wise. So I'm going, oh man, this is totally in his favor by doing that. But they did a great job with the editing. I mean, that's what you want in a show. If it's so predictable all the way through, it just doesn't seem right. You know, I mean, if you're watching a baseball game, I guess there was a massive comeback in the 9th inning is what sort of happened here, you know, and that's exciting in the end.
Well, High Speed Danny, you called it last week because nobody picked Danny, and you said, well, then that means Danny's going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, that did happen. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all bet on the wrong horse. If you bet to win, you lose. If you bet to show, well, I guess he gets some sort of winnings. But yeah, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, he's quite a talented chef. He certainly did the most technically advanced things and the most creative stuff, and he's going to represent so darn well. I mean, the restaurant that he works with, the restaurant group, the Saga Group, they've got some great restaurants and a couple of Michelin stars between them, and he is going to be a part of, I guess, their new restaurant, more of a seafood thing, and he's going to be doing quite well with that. And, what do you say at the end of it all? It's just, what a season.
High Speed Danny, do you have a best bite for this week?
Well, for my best bite, I am going to go back to a meal that I had at Saga, part of the group that Danny works with. It was literally a year ago to this week that I was there. It's a beautiful building that they have these restaurants in. First off, our hearts go out to James Kent, Chef James, who passed away this last week as well. I mean, it's got to be such a bittersweet week for Danny. The high of your career and then also an unfortunate low point with something so bad happening. But
it's shocking. He was only 45.
Yeah. He's left a great legacy. I mean, he really was doing so many good things. And, he has Crown Shy on the ground level of this building at 70 Pine Street in the New York Financial District. They've got a star and they're doing wonderful stuff. But the real flagship restaurant is Saga on the 63rd floor, which is one of the most beautiful views of the city you're ever going to see. I mean, they start you out on the balconies, which are on all sides of the building. So you can, depending on which side they put you on, you have better views than others, but you just see skyscrapers and water. And as far as the eye can see, incredibly beautiful, awesome time when you start off that way. And the meal itself, they call it a 7-course meal. I think it goes for $298 before tax and tip, but it's actually 26 different foods is what I had, 4 different sauces, so about 30 different tastes throughout the meal. And it's food that Danny cooked in this episode of Top Chef this season. You would see that on the menu here. It could fit into anything that goes down there. It was just a great meal. They open you up with 5 different foods, little small amuse-bouche things, snacks with a dipping sauce, a non-traditional plating. So everything is really, it's just not on a plate. It's on just weird, wacky, pretty types of things. Second round was 2 different foods, a caviar and creamy bread course, but the bread was sort of a flat pancake that was rolled up. And third round was 4 different foods with a couple of dishes to share, a fish dish, then a main dish, and a lot of sharing types of things, which you don't see in a 2 Michelin star restaurant. The main dish was duck. There were 3 side dishes, a couple of sauces, a bunch of bread. So really a beautiful, beautiful way to do things. And some pre-desserts, I would say a couple of bites with a tea. The main desserts were 2 different things. That was a little weird because I took a fan out to dinner to this meal. And when you're sharing things, it's not a bad thing when it's, you both have a plate and you're digging out of the main duck dish. But for desserts, they gave us 2 different desserts and no sharing plates. So
Ooh.
I just met the guy. I've talked to him a little bit on Instagram, but he didn't really want to dip in and share too much with it.
No.
But tasty food, and they ended you up with a 5 different candies on a spinning tray, the mignardises. Really a wonderful meal that lasted 4 hours and
Whoa.
just gorgeous, gorgeous views. You get some views out of your windows, and they've got several different types of seating if you want to really go nuts with things. The expensive seating they had, it's for 4 people, maybe up to 6, and the minimum spend is $4,000 for the entire group.
Oh my gosh. That is so much money.
It's a lot of money, but I think it's near the kitchen. You have a view of the city.
Okay.
You know, they really offered a lot of crazy options. Beautiful, beautiful restaurant with 2 Michelin stars for a reason. So just a really good time there, and nice people, good staff. You know, everyone has a great time at these places because you're so buttered up being in such a beautiful location. I'm sure there are a lot of other great restaurants with views like this around the city, but none that have a couple of Michelin stars.
Wow.
I'm not sure I did justice with describing things, but I guess I'll be supplying some photos and video of all of this, so hopefully that's helped tell the story and paint the picture for everybody. So a lot of best bites, if you really want to call it a best bite.
Sure.
So good time, good time.
So, High Speed Dining, this being your first season of Top Chef, what did you think of your first season of Top Chef?
I really enjoyed it. I grew to like and even love some of the contestants on the show. Over time, you really learn and understand who they are, what they're all about. You know, the real personalities stand out. Their personality stands out in their dishes as well. And I've really just got into following a team and watching it get whittled down over time. Unfortunately, I will say I watch a lot of diners, drive-ins, and dives, and you've got one host, and then every week it's a, it's a different city, a different place. So everyone loves Guy when you have a main host and that's it. I really got attached to it. And I learned a lot about the city. I guess every season it's in a different city, and you learn some different things. You become attached to different areas around America, I guess, or around the world. I'm not even sure. I have to catch up on things, but I enjoyed it. I really did have a good time with it. And the last few episodes, I wasn't around when it was recorded, but I got to the recording immediately. That was the highlight, must-watch TV of the night. It was great. I don't know how previous hosts were and the dynamics of everything, but Kristen did a great job, it seems, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with this season. So,
well, I must say, this season, you High Speed Dining and you Quiche doing this podcast with me has been the highlight of this season for me. So thank you both very, very much.
Aww.
Oh, thank you.
That's so sweet. Am I allowed to cry?
Yeah, yes, you are.
Just not in my food, because that would alter the taste that the chefs wanted to bring to you. It was great. I look forward to the next season. Let's do it again. It's a date. Woohoo! I'll make a reservation.
All right. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, High Speed Dining. We really appreciate your fine dining input and all the insights you've been able to bring.
It was a pleasure being with you guys. You did great. It was nice having a super fan and a newbie, and I think it was a good dynamic. So nice job of things. Way to go. 14 episodes. You guys did great.
Oh, thank you. All right. And that ends High Speed Dining segment with us. Snack time.
Thank you.
Thank you, High Speed Dining. It is a pleasure as always. And we let you go now to eat at your fine dining restaurants wherever you please. Maybe we will catch you again someday.
So, Quiche, before we wrap up season 21, do you have a final tasty morsel for us?
I do have a tasty morsel for us, and I this is one that I know you appreciate too, because I've seen it in your notes before. This one, I feel like we've just gone through the Top Chef culinary universe. We're all stressed, we're all tired, we're ready for a break. Can we all take a Caribbean cruise? No, but we can do the second best thing. We can watch The Tiny Chef on YouTube. Yeah, I know you love The Tiny Chef. I do too. The Tiny Chef is a social media sensation and herbivore who introduces and cooks new recipes for tiny plant-based dishes from his tree stump home. If you're looking for some cozy, cute, little green chef action, The Tiny Chef is the place to go. I think some of his older videos are definitely more in my heart. There are some more recent videos. I think he's on Nickelodeon now, where you can kind of tell what he's saying, and I liked it when it was still a little bit of a mystery what he was just saying. It just adds to his intrigue, you know? But I love the tiny chef. He's so cute. He's so fun. It's so peaceful and calming that I feel like it is a very nice juxtaposition to the season of Top Chef. Gnocchi, do you have comments on this? Because I know you love the tiny chef too.
Oh my goodness, his best friend is a cat. It's so cute.
Oh,
He has a picture of RuPaul up on his wall, or he did at one point.
oh, so cute.
Love the tiny chef. I follow him. You know, I don't follow a lot because I get overwhelmed. I followed him before his Nickelodeon fame days.
Oh, nice. I think Tiny Chef would win Top Chef just by his charisma alone.
Absolutely. And then when he cooks and he's using like a bottle cap as one of his dishes.
Yes. So cute. Oh my gosh. We love Tiny Chef here. We love Tiny Chef. I recommend it for everyone. While you are going off into the world and enjoying this downtime between now and season 22 of Top Chef, we recommend you find those peaceful cooking shows just to rejuvenate your soul.
Yes, bring you down from the stress.
Yeah. The pasta press is moving away. You do not have to worry anymore.
So Quiche, to wrap up season 21, your first ever season of Top Chef, what did you think of your first season of Top Chef?
Man, it was something else. I have to say, I loved the challenges that they went through. I really loved elimination challenges. Or not, I really loved quick fire challenges. I thought those were always very creative and kind of pushed people to work in different ways, which is something I really appreciated. I loved getting to know the different chefs, as I've said many a time before, that were brought in on this journey. It's not just a one episode and done. We don't get like a quick dose of who they are as a person. We get to really explore like their personalities, the way they work with each other, the way they support each other and care for each other, love each other. It's the sweetest thing. And it really does build out the feeling of this being a complete reality television show, I think, for me, not just a cooking show. I like it how it was so different from the beginning to the end, because it honestly, it really did feel like two completely different shows. Like there was a point halfway through where I'm like, this is a new season. This feels like an entirely new season. Like we reached a point where there was a certain nucleus of chef testants where I was like, this is it. Like this is episode 1 of the next season. That's what this feels like, because it just entered a different kind of atmosphere, a different kind of energy. And I do think that's because we got to focus in a little bit more on who the main players were, and we got to really dig into those and support them. The specialized challenges will stick in my mind for a long time. The hops challenge, the cherry challenge, the cheese challenges. I loved all those things. I loved the way that they highlighted Wisconsin in some of the best ways. I know the Midwest can be known for food crimes sometimes, but there's a lot of good things there too. And I really appreciated how that was highlighted in those different ways in the quickfire challenges. It was very memorable to me. It made me feel nostalgic for, I don't have particular connection with the Midwest in Wisconsin, but it did bring me into a sense of nostalgia for the Midwest in general with the states that I frequent. Yeah, takes you through an emotional journey. And honestly, I liked it for myself as well, because I have not tried to create dishes in the way that I was asked to by you. And you prompted me to figure out, how would I approach this challenge? What would I make in this challenge? And for me, that's become something that I almost realized that it's not inaccessible as I thought it was. I felt like approaching something and being like, creating a new recipe, creating a new dish feels like an impossible task. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. But being asked to do it and bring it in and have the challenges and parameters that are set out, I'm following those same things that the chefs are doing. All of a sudden I was like, wait, I can do this. This is something that is accessible to me. It's something that I could potentially make on my own. And yeah, it might not work out, but it might. And that was really, really cool and really empowering for me as someone who loves to cook. So thank you, Gnocchi. Thank you for that experience.
That is awesome. You did it yourself, but that is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I love it. And I do have to say, it is because of you. I would not have watched Top Chef if we were not doing this podcast. I don't think it would have been on my radar. So it's something that's going to be a yearly event in my life now, to say the least. So thank you, Gnocchi, for that as well.
You're welcome. I'm genuinely very, very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'd love to get into your seasoned veteran takes on the season.
Oh, yes. So I have some thoughts about this season. Coming in with 20 seasons of baggage, as you might imagine, I have some differing thoughts as this is my 21st season and not my first season of Top Chef. So the demographics of the Top Chef winners previous to Danny, so excluding Danny, there have been 8 white males, 3 white females, 3 Asian females, 2 Asian males, unless you count Buddha twice, because he's the GOAT. He won 2 seasons of Top Chef back to back. 1 black male, 0 black females, 0 black females. So my heart was super broke when Michelle got eliminated.
Michelle could have done that.
Michelle could have been, yes, I don't say that lightly. Yes, Michelle very well. I had her pegged as a front runner early on, just like Rastika. Yes. If you notice the list, 0 Indian, male or females. So I also was super excited about Rastika. She could have potentially been the first Indian anything to win Top Chef. There's been 1 Hispanic male to win and 0 Hispanic females.
Yeah.
Now there's an asterisk next to the 1 black male who won. He was an arrogant, mid-performing chef-testant who lucked into his win. Remember early on in the episode, I mentioned Kevin Braga lucked out by getting one of the best chef-testants to ever go through Top Chef as sous chef, and the frontrunner for his season was ill for the finals. So he is an incredibly unpopular winner. Nobody remembers him, and if they do, they don't like him.
Ooh. Ugh.
And then the 1 winner, the 1 male Hispanic winner, was the sexual predator. So nobody likes him. Nobody wants to remember him. And many seasons on, because that was unfortunately very recent, season 18, people will eventually wipe him from his mind. Now, Danny, who I excluded from this demographic breakout, checks 2 boxes. He checks the black male and Hispanic male box. He checks those 2 boxes. So people want to forget the existing 1 male winner, and they definitely want to forget the existing Hispanic winner. Now we have a new winner who checks both of those boxes.
Wait, okay.
Is an idea forming in your mind yet?
Yes.
Yes. So I broke out a little bit more. I'm not going to go over it, all the winners so far and why they won and how they won. But as you can see, if you look at it, the reason Kevin won season 7 and yes. And also there's been several arrogant chefs who've won. And once I did this breakout and once I saw Danny's treatment of Manny this episode and then looked back on Laura's unfair villain edit, and I realized that what they did is they did their best to minimize Danny's arrogance to the point where I didn't pick up on it. But the scholars at Reddit picked up on it fairly early.
Wow.
They minimized his arrogance because what did they not want? They didn't want another arrogant chef to win.
Right.
Just planting the seed in your mind there. Are you picking up on it? I think you are.
I think I am.
So coming in with those 20 seasons of baggage, I do want to say, because you did not get them this season, you have your personal fave, Michelle Wallace, but you and I have to admit that love came in with our CIA level research. I came in before the show.
We did do a lot of research, yes, and you are correct about that.
So for me, with 20 seasons of baggage, among those who did not win, among the fan favorites, I hope in the future you get your Sheldon Simeon, you get your Carla Hall, you get your Fabio Viviani. They didn't win, but they are beloved in the Top Chef canon. Beloved. Among those who did win, I hope you get your Boudeleau, your Richard Blaze, your Michael Voltaggio, your Melissa King, your Kristen Kish. I hope you get those in your future seasons of Top Chef. There are other chef testants that we Top Chef fans speak of in hushed tones, but those are the ones that I remember off the top of my head. We didn't get any of those this season, and we can't really count Michelle because you loved her before the season even started.
I did. Yeah, you're right.
So headline, this is the TLDR version of my summation of season 21 of Top Chef. This is the heartbreak season of Top Chef for me. Like I might start crying.
Oh.
The season broke my heart. It broke my heart. And there have been bad seasons. Top Chef season 9, the racist bullies. The winner was a domestic abuser. Okay, there have been seasons that I don't ever watch.
Yeah.
That did not stop me from watching Top Chef. Those seasons, as horrible as they were, didn't break my heart. This season broke my heart. So remember how I said to you that Top Chef was going to break your heart? And it did. It did it twice. Did it not?
Yeah, I kind of did.
And I laughed and I joked like, ah, ha, ha, it's going to break your heart, you newbie. Ha, ha.
Yeah.
Well, unexpectedly, this season of Top Chef broke my heart. You know how sometimes you have breakups and it's one-sided and one side, you know, they're going to break up with you or you're the one doing the breakup, or sometimes it's mutual. Top Chef broke up with me this season.
Oh.
And the feeling is mutual.
Oh.
And I suspect you already know why, because I believe I have pretty fairly clearly laid out Danny bullying Manny was literally the last straw for me.
You mean it wasn't when he said he knew he was gonna win in that interview at the end after the or was that just icing on the cake?
That was the sour icing on the cake. You're gonna bully one of the nicest chef testants to come through any season of Top Chef? Who are you?
Yeah.
I was neutral on you all season. Who are you? And then to go on to watch What Happens Live and go, yeah, I fully expected to win. Who are you? You served a subpar. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the heartbreak season of Top Chef for me. Poorly designed challenges that not even the judges understood. To this day, Kristen cannot explain the Chaos Challenge. Terrible challenges that had nothing to do with actual cooking. Torch and his kerosene boiled fish. What did that have to do with culinary excellence?
Torch. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's memorable. He should not be the most memorable aspect of any season.
He is.
And yet he is.
That's a good point, though.
Inconsistent judging that allowed for lack of creativity, persistently allowed cooking errors, gross cooking errors to go by, pre-made products, episode after episode, abrupt and inconsistent rule changes that were also applied completely arbitrarily and with no discernible consistency whatsoever. Do you have any disagreements here on these points?
I don't.
I know. That was a rhetorical question because I knew you don't. You brought it up yourself without me having to prompt you in previous episodes. You know, the bizarre quickfire effect. Mid-season quickfire effect, here and gone. No immunity for quickfires? Yes, there's immunity for quickfires, but only if we feel like it.
Yeah.
The 3 pep talks that they needed. First ever for Top Chef.
Love a good pep talk.
Love it. Yes, we do. Of which they only showed 2 because they knew there was going to be 3. First ever pep talk in a finale. Those pep talks didn't prompt the chef testers to do any better. And you asked me, do you have any idea why? I don't know why. Maybe they didn't give them enough prep time. Maybe they didn't let them know far enough in advance. I do not know why. It's insane. We have never seen in any season this many chef testants do that consistently badly through a course of a season. You might see one chef testant mess up maybe every couple episodes, max, maybe, because the challenges are hard. They're supposed to be hard. Consistently over the whole season into the finales? No, first ever.
Yeah.
So the producers, after the right way, they literally punted every challenge and made them significantly easier for the chef testants. They did. For example, the sausage race. And I had said this to you previously. Why did they allow all the chef testants to buy their sausages? And Laura chose to make hers, and Tom was so excited that she made hers. I didn't look them all up because I couldn't remember, but just off the top of my head, season 3 Miami, episode 3. Yes, Dale Levitsky used an instant mashed potato mix to make his pierogies, but he did a good job. And when he was on the top at the judges table, they called him out for using instant, but they also said, you did a great job. Kaylina used box pasta for Take It Cheesy. She did a great job. Now, did they say anything about the box pasta at judges table? We don't know. Did they cut it?
Yeah, that's true. We don't know.
Did they cut it from judges table? Why didn't they at least say something? Why? So I'm not saying that she should have been dinged because you can buy store-bought as long as you do a good job with it. You can.
Right. Yeah.
If they said something, why did they cut it out? Why? And in hindsight, it seems to be because they just didn't want us as the viewers to realize just how badly this batch of chef testants was doing. It really recontextualized why we got so little judges table, because we would have just seen week after week of negative comments.
Oh.
And I don't know how many viewers would have stuck around for that.
Huh. Yeah.
So instead there was one episode where we literally got barely one incomplete sentence for each chef testant before they sent them back to stew room. That was the episode where I thought I missed judges table. It was so brief. The judges table is supposed to be a legit segment of the show, like a 5 to 10 minute segment. And they reduced it to seconds this season. You have 15 extra minutes and we're getting no judges table. Why?
Yeah. And that does a disservice to the viewer as well, because we want to be brought along and understand why the dishes did or did not succeed. And the only people we're going to hear that from, unless the chef testant owns up to their mistake themselves, is the judges.
We suspect they cut them all being yelled at for Take It Cheesy. We suspect they cut the part where they all got yelled at for making croquettes because they didn't want us to get episode after episode of the chef testants getting yelled at.
Yeah, that would not make for good ratings. There's so much lore. Oh my gosh. I thought that the season would end and we would just be like, wow. But then the season ends and suddenly there's drama and analysis. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect it to go this way.
Yes. And to go back to the whole no judges table, and I was trying to think of the example. So the example that I can think of is Top Chef season, I want to say 18 Houston, or maybe that was 19 Houston. At the judges table, one of the teams had pulled their pork belly out of the braising liquid to cool it down overnight so they could work on it the next day. And the pork belly came out tough. And at judges table, Tom said, no, you have to cool the pork belly in the braising liquid. Otherwise, it will come out tough. I learned that at judges table. Those are the kinds of things that we learn at judges table. We didn't get, can you remember anything related to cooking technique that you learned from judges table this season?
No, not really. I can't.
I literally cannot name one thing. Instead, we got ridiculous things like they're cooking with love. What is that going to teach you about cooking?
Oh my goodness.
It didn't teach me anything about cooking.
No.
Let me skip ahead because I actually looked up all the episodes where they made their own sausages. So I won't go down that list, but just know many episodes, 4 quick fires, 4 eliminations, chef testants made their own sausages. This is the first season where they all use store-bought except for one. And our suspicion is they cut the portion of the challenge where Kristen said, yes, you can use store-bought. And we suspect they cut it because they didn't want us, the viewer, to know that they were making the challenges easier for the chef testants. Because any other season, they would have been dinged for that. So the fish boil, when they brought back the All-Stars and they went shopping with the chef testants' grocery lists, that's a Top Chef first. There's at least 3-4 occasions off the top of my head I can recall where the chef testants got mystery box ingredients. There's an episode in Top Chef Boston where the judges went shopping for the chef testants and they didn't know what they were cooking with until the next day. In fact, that same season, they didn't know what they were cooking with until they got to the firehouse for the challenge. Another season, Top Chef Kentucky, they played a game of Dirty Santa where they had to exchange boxes of ingredients that the other chef testants had picked. This is the first season where the All-Stars came in and the chef testants gave them their grocery list. How is that a challenge?
I'm not sure.
Our suspicion is what the All-Stars were supposed to do was shop for the chef testants. Because remember, this was the fish boil, not a challenging challenge by any stretch of the imagination. You boil fish. So all the chef testants really had to do was side dishes. So the hypothesis is the All-Stars were brought in to buy mystery ingredients for the chef testants so that the side dishes would actually be a challenge rather than a throwaway. And guess what the side dishes were by and large? They were throwaways. Chips and dip, store-bought chips and dip, that's a throwaway. And you know I love Manny. Emo boy. Love him. What was challenging about that? Other than the very unfair fact that, especially for Dan, that they had to keep their fires burning. What was hard about that challenge? That was related to cooking.
Yeah.
Our suspicion is that they punted that challenge because they were trying to make it easier for the chef testants because they failed 3 episodes in a row. The highlight of the season was the High Life, episode 2. Episode 3 was Take It Cheesy. They botched that with all the croquettes, which they didn't even execute well. What was episode 4, The Right Way? That was a complete epic disaster. And they got a pep talk after that. Supper Club, epic disaster. And they got a pep talk after that, which they did not air, but they constantly showed in the trailers. They botched 3 episodes in a row. And so they realized, oh no, we're going to have to make these challenges easier. So then they turned around and instead of making them make their own sausages, they're like, no, you can definitely just buy the sausage. Never before in Top Chef history. Having the All-Stars come in and basically do the shopping for the chef testants. What are the All-Stars there for then? And they had to mentor them and hilariously, they didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to make the challenges easier after they botched those 3 in a row and to give the chef testants as much of a helping hand as they possibly could. More pep talks, mentoring from the All-Stars, making the challenges easier. They cut judges' table so that we wouldn't realize just how bad these chef testants were all season long. They cut information on the challenges. A lot of times they didn't give us time limits a lot of time. They were making things easier for the chef testants. They were cutting how much they were yelling at the chef testants. They didn't want us to know. They didn't want us to know what a jerk Danny is. They didn't want us to know that maybe Laura is just in her own little world. Maybe isn't a jerk. Yes. And then we touched on this already a little bit too about the bizarre editing, and how it turned Laura unfairly. Okay. Laura, unfortunately for her, gave the editing team a gift when they got all this footage at the end of the season and didn't know what to do with the winner, Danny, who very clearly in the finale episode, they couldn't cut around how arrogant and bullying he was to Manny. They just couldn't. They couldn't cut it. But all season long, they cut as much of that footage as they possibly could. And they turned Laura into a villain so that we wouldn't end up hating the winner at the end.
Yeah.
And the number one egregious thing for me is, so Top Chef has a dish pit. For every challenge, there's usually 2 people, if not more, washing dishes. So they call it the dish pit. And they do that so that during a challenge, all the chef testants have to do is cook. They don't want them to have to take anything away, no time away from doing things that will take them away from the cook. So they don't have to do dishes. Yet when Charlie, keep in mind it was Charlie, spilled the cheese and he got heat for it. But really, should he have had to stop and clean that up? Shouldn't production, regardless of whether or not there's a handicapped chef on the set, and there was, a handicapped person on the set should not have production who does the dishes for them, right? So they don't have to stop cooking. Slippery cheese on the floor. Tell me that's not dangerous.
I feel like that's definitely because, there's still workplace hazards and everything when it comes to reality television. So leaving stuff on the floor when there is a handicapped contestant present, even if there isn't, because there were other people who were slipping on it too, that just seems like a liability. I don't know about that.
They washed their dishes for them. They should have cleaned that up. They didn't. We don't know why production chose not to clean it up. And then editing at the end of the season, they got to use it to contribute to their unfair, I now believe it to be fully unfair, Laura the villain edit. Yes, she hoovered up Danny's budget, so she conveniently gave them things to use. If you do it, they can show it. She conveniently gave them things to use. But outside of hoovering up the budget, what did Laura really do to Danny?
Not to Danny. She did rifle through those cards in the Chef Gully challenge.
She unfortunately gave editing things to use. Yes, she did.
But those are things that, like, it's a move done by a competitor to win a competition. So can we truly fault her for that?
Exactly. And if she hadn't gotten blamed for the cheese spill, and if she hadn't hoovered up Danny's budget, if she hadn't potentially not heard Dan asking for the chocolate, would we really think Laura was a villain?
No. I think we probably would have continued to be excited about, especially what she does in dessert work, because she had the rice pudding, and then after that, the villain edit started.
Correct. I would not have called her the Lady of Darkness. No, I would just think she was being a competitor. Whether or not I liked her for it, I would still think, hey, look, she's competing on Top Chef. She's competing for $250,000.
Yeah, she's working toward what she wants. That's all anyone on the show is supposed to do. Yeah.
And then I also want to point out, the chef testants kept failing challenge after challenge. Take It Cheesy, The Right Way, Supper Club. So then we have Chaos Cuisine. That's the 6th challenge, where Danny, air quotes, wins for a completely unoriginal dish, which potentially he may have stolen. Don't know. We don't know. Whatever. Which was also, by anyone's estimation, the least chaotic dish presented. It's a fully composed dish. How is that chaotic? It's not original. How is that chaotic?
It's true.
Dan presents this amazing funnel cake. Savannah presents her iconic mustard greens dessert.
Oh, yeah. The redemption arc on that one episode for her alone was insane.
And yet, mysteriously, episode after episode, Danny starts winning for things that in previous seasons he really wouldn't have won for. Presenting inedible food to the judges and yet still winning. Winning the finale with underseasoned food when just 2 seasons before, Shota Nakajima went home for slightly undercooked rice. He lost Top Chef for slightly undercooked rice. It begins to look a little bit like, if you recall the demographics I showed you, a little bit like maybe the fix was in for Danny. At that point, my guess is the producers decided it was his season to not win. It was Danny's season to lose. Where he'd had to mess up so epically bad. Because he really should not have won the Chaos Challenge. There are several challenges he should not have won.
I still feel like Savannah or maybe Soo would have been a better fit for the Chaos Challenge. Because Soo really knocked it out of the park.
Chicken skin breaded shrimp didn't win the Chaos Challenge.
And the 2 sauces and the presentation of it was incredible too.
Thank you. And remember, if you freeze frame on the closing credits, it says the producers have a decision in the winning.
Oh, it does?
Oh, yes. It's been that way. We all know this. From season 1, we know that the producers have a hand in this. It's just that this season, it is egregiously obvious. In hindsight. It's so obvious because Danny checks what boxes. He air quotes, fixes the one black winner that nobody likes and the Hispanic winner that nobody likes because he's a sexual predator. Danny checks both of those boxes. And also, if you start giving him wins he shouldn't get, that also fixes the whole, we don't want a mid-performing chef testant winning in the end because viewers do not like that. Instead, he wins challenge after challenge that he shouldn't have won so that at the end it looks like he's a front runner.
Oh.
Yes. And just to make it clear that they know what the chef testants have on their menus, the producers do their research. Just for example, Top Chef Colorado, they had the chef testants for a quickfire remake one of the most complicated dishes on their menu into a more streamlined dish that a home cook could make. Great challenge.
I would love to see that challenge. That sounds like a fun challenge.
Great challenge. They know what the chef testants have cooked. So it's not like they didn't know. They know. Just putting it out there. And so repeatedly, it really drove a lot of us crazy watching Danny win when he was clearly not being creative. He was clearly not stretching himself. He was just executing very well recipes he had memorized, and he just happened to very luckily have Michelin star experience. So all of his recipes, Michelin star recipes. Was this finale menu really audacious and daring and brave? Or was it just a continuation of him being consistently conservative and safe? Rhetorical question.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Both Savannah and Dan and Sue, Michelle, and Rosica were worthy to be in the finale. Based on the whole season, did Danny really deserve to be in the finale? And then based on his performance in the finale, did he really deserve to win? He had cooking errors that would have... Look, people have not gotten over Shota Nakajima losing to a sexual predator for a slightly undercooked rice. But Danny's going to win with undercooked lobster. He's going to win with under-seasoned food and with a dish that no one understood. And Michelle's elimination? So I dinged Manny a lot. And I want to say again, just in the context of the competition, culinary competition is probably not for you, Manny, but they repeatedly used him to knock out chef testants who should have stayed. And if they had stayed, would have given Danny a real run for his money. Michelle going home for undercooked biscuits and lay it on the table. Meanwhile, Manny messed up every aspect of his lay it on the table. And yet, Manny got to stay. And Michelle went home. Now, I'm not saying Michelle should have stayed for her undercooked biscuits, but should Manny have stayed? When he messed up his seafood, he messed up the risotto, he messed up every aspect of his presentation. But Michelle could have given Danny a real run for his money in the finale. And can you really have two black people in the finale? Can you? And on top of that, Michelle didn't check enough boxes. She wasn't a male Hispanic and she wasn't a black male. And those are the boxes the producers clearly, after Chaos Cuisine and after Rosica went home, the other front runner, who would have been a good winner, right? First Indian woman. After that, when they justifiably couldn't keep Rosica around, producers looked at Danny. Well, you know what? We can fix 2 errors with 1 stone right here. Danny. And so Michelle, who could have potentially been the first black female to win Top Chef, goes home for undercooked biscuits and Manny gets to stay.
Oh.
Sue, who could have given Danny a real run for his money. Well, too many Asians have won Top Chef, so he goes home in the fishbowl, and Manny with his store-bought chips and dip gets to stay. And keep in mind, I love Manny, but in hindsight...
Yeah, it seems like there were plans afoot when you put it that way.
And I've skipped over a lot because I don't want to make you listen to this just barrage of just... I have 20 years of pain right here. Because yes, we know the producers have a hand in it. It's just this season, for whatever reason, it just was so patently, blindly, painfully obvious.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Keeping Manny around that long and him knocking out chef testants who really could have given Danny a run for his money. And then Savannah, unfortunately, making it easy for them in the finale. And them just choosing Danny over Dan because Danny cooked the more, what was it, meal? He stamped out pretty shapes.
That melted.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have completely lost faith in Top Chef. Because despite producer intervention, usually by the end, you're still rooting for the winner. Usually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, all of this being said, even though I am done with Top Chef, I'm done. If you stick with Top Chef, I hope that you go on the journey that I have had for the past 20 seasons. I hope that you get to experience, because this is technically your first season. Just like our first season is terrible. It's notoriously horrible. It's bad. Home chefs, sous chefs who just got slaughtered by the more experienced chef testants that they had on the first season. It's a bad season. It's bad. But I hope, because this is your first season, that Top Chef consistently gets better season after season, that the chef testants get better season after season, and that you get to look back and that you'll be able to say, I hope you have your Boudeleaux. I hope you have your Kristen Quiche, and that you'll have moments and dishes that you will look back on fondly and share with enthusiasm with others who either do or don't watch Top Chef. I hope you get to have that experience because I have enjoyed the ride for 20 seasons. It's been great.
Thank you so much, Gnocchi. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is the breakup. Unexpectedly. Yeah, I did not know that Top Chef and I would be breaking up this season, but we are.
Oh, well, I mean, hearing your perspective, I do understand.
But look, it can only get better from here. Honestly, it can only get better. And Kristen Quiche, great host already.
Oh, yeah. So charismatic. Like, yeah.
I hope if you stick with it that you are able to have, in hindsight, the journey that I've had because it was great. It really was. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
Not this season, but previous seasons, I did. You and High Speed Dining have been the highlight of this season for me.
Aww. Stop. This podcast has been such a blessing. It is so fun. It is so incredible. And for those of you listening, it has created friendships. We might have lost the Top Chef breakup might have just happened, but we still got each other.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to the very end of this final episode of Food and Dine, the Top Chef podcast about Top Chef Season 21. We thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to our thoughts and opinions and what would Quiche do and our food crimes and not judging us on them. We're so lucky to have all of you listening week by week, and that is not lost on us. We are very, very grateful. And with that, thank you for joining us at the table this season. Go forth and eat.